Welcome back. Today we have a frivolous video for you. Although, having said that, my channel is about perfume, so technically all of my videos are frivolous. But today we have a kind of a fun one. About once a year I think I do this video, and that is to show you the bottles that have the biggest dents in them, which is meant to be an indication of how much I have worn these fragrances. So what I've done is I have excluded bottles that already had a dent in them from about 12 months ago. Unless I have worn them in the last 12 months, I haven't included them in this video. And so on that note, if you're new here, then welcome. My name is Cherie. I talk mostly about perfume on this channel, although sometimes I do talk about other things as well. If you watch this video and you enjoy it, please do give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more. First cab off the rank is a bottle of Sunset Hour by Goldfield & Banks. So there is a sizable dent in this one. This is a 100ml bottle. This bottle was sent to me by the brand in January last year, I think, just before I started my no-buy. And I was really pleasantly surprised about this one because it is quite sweet, and typically I haven't gravitated towards sweeter scents, but this year I really have started to learn to appreciate sweeter scents, and perhaps even I can attribute my transition to this fragrance because I have been wearing it and I got it in January last year. So obviously it kicked off a bit of a trend. Next up is another from Goldfield & Banks. This one is White Sandalwood. This is an older bottle with the older formulation. So obviously this bottle is quite old. I haven't just made this dent in the last 12 months, but I have worn it quite substantially in the last 12 months. And I even did an in-depth review of this one, comparing it to the new one. So if you're interested to know more about White Sandalwood, you can go check out that video. But basically, I think this is a great one for summer because it's creamy and woody without being too sweet, but there's just a hint of sweetness in there, a little bit of rose. It's really, really beautiful and it smells very, very elevated. The next one is Solar Blossom by Millesime. This is also a 100ml bottle, obviously. This is a very sweet, vanillic orange blossom scent. It's very creamy. It is quite hefty in terms of how it sits on the skin. It's actually a really beautiful transition season scent. I don't know if I can wear it in the height of summer because even now I'm smelling this. It's a really hot day today and I think it would be way too much, even though typically I would wear orange blossom in the warmer months. So I tend to wear this more in autumn and spring. And it even does quite well in the winter. In fact, when I first fell in love with this fragrance, I had a sample of it and I wore it in winter time. And that was back in 2020. So I remember we were in lockdowns and things. And I just remember thinking it was just such an uplifting, beautiful, happy scent, particularly with everything that was going on in the world as well at the time. I guess I just considered it to be a lovely mood lifter and I wasted no time in picking up a full bottle of it. Sorry, I just had to adjust my lighting. I just realized I had moved the light and it was blasting me in the face. The next one is one that you have definitely heard me talk about in the past few months, and this is Sampaquita by Homme. These transparent bottles look lovely on the shelf, but they're really hard to film. So I'm just going to get a bit of white paper, put it behind it. Sampaquita by Homme, a really lovely white floral fragrance. This is a 50ml bottle. It's quite soapy, a bit spicy, not overly sweet. Very, very elegant. Love, love, love this one. This is a really good one for the office. Yeah, I mean, I've had this bottle for a few years, but I think I've worn it the most in this past 12 months. So that is Sampaquita. Whilst we're talking about Homme, let's go with Almond Woman, shall we? So this is probably what I would characterize as being one of my favorite scents of all time and the closest thing I have to a signature scent. And this bottle is a lot younger than the bottle of Sampaquita because I had a travel size of this before I bought the full bottle. And so I've basically been through this, I guess, in maybe 18 months, 2 years. It is a very powerful fragrance, this one. In fact, their Homme fragrances are very strong. They have a very high perfume oil concentration in them. So they have really good longevity on the skin. They don't necessarily project a huge amount, but they have great longevity and they just, oh, they smell so good, so good. So that is Almond Woman by Almond Jane. Next up, we have one that I bought. You know, it's so funny. I had that no-buy year last year, but in my mind, it's like that year didn't happen, and I keep thinking of when I bought fragrances, like this next fragrance I bought in 2021, but in my mind I'm thinking I bought it last year because it's like my mind has blacked out the year of not buying perfume. This is 100 Silent Ways by Nishane. Again, another 50 ml bottle with a decent dent in it. I mean, it's not huge. What's that? Maybe a quarter? But this is an extremely strong fragrance. And unlike the Almond Jane fragrances, not only is this strong, but it projects a lot and it's also very sweet. But you know what? Oh man, I love it. I keep telling myself I can only wear this in the cooler months because it's so strong. But you know what? I think I might try wearing it over the next few weeks because it just smells so pretty. And it is a white floral after all, so it would work beautifully in the warmer weather. The only thing is, because it's so strong and it's sweet, it might get a bit much, but I might just spritz a little bit and see how I go. Next up is one that I have worn a little bit over the past few months. This is Nuit de Cellophane by Sergetant, and I'm probably, what, a third of the way through this bottle. This is a 50 ml bottle. This one is a very sparkly, shampooy, fruity floral fragrance. I think there's a peach note in the top. Some people hate it. Some people love it. I'm obviously one of the people that loves it. It's quite a simplistic fragrance. It's not overly complicated, but that's what I like about it. And I just think it's a beautiful one to wear in the hot weather because it has a real freshness about it. It has a cleanness about it without smelling like white musk and laundry, you know? So that is Nuit de Cellophane. Next up is one that I've stopped wearing in the past probably 6 months because it's getting so low and I don't know when I'm going to have a chance to replace the bottle, but I definitely will be replacing this bottle. In fact, I will probably get a big bottle of it. This is Prada Infusion d'Iris or d'Iris. This is a 50 ml bottle and it's gorgeous. This one's I wouldn't say it's sentimental to me, but it's kind of special to me because I wore this fragrance the first day that I met Matt's parents. It's very understated, it's very sophisticated, it's very elegant, it's very clean smelling, doesn't project a huge amount. It smells kind of expensive too, which I usually don't like to use that as a descriptor for perfume because I think any perfume can smell expensive because, I don't know, I think that sounds really snobby. But anyway, it does smell expensive. So this is a beautiful fragrance. I know it's been talked about so much in FragCom, so I probably don't need to go on too much about it, but it's kind of like a green iris scent and it's beautiful. Next one is one that I'm surprised I have worn as much of this as I have. I didn't realize that this dent was quite so big, but this is Gardens of India by Parle-moi de Parfum. Yeah, I mean, this is a 50 ml bottle. I got this in 2021 for my birthday, and it's a really fresh, zesty, white floral fragrance, primarily jasmine and tuberose and some orange blossom, kind of a bit fruity as well, but I think the fruits are mostly citrus. It's gorgeous. Very airy and easy to like and perfect for the hot weather. Next up, we have Chanel No. 5 Eau de Parfum. This dent looks more impressive than it is really because this is a 30 ml bottle, or is it a 50 ml bottle? Hang on. It's a 35 ml bottle, not a 50 ml bottle. But still, for a fragrance that a couple of years ago I was repulsed by, I feel like I've done pretty well with wearing the Chanels and in the No. 5 range. And speaking of No. 5, I also have a little 35 ml bottle of L'eau here, which I bought, I think, in early 2021. This is a really beautiful fragrance. It's light and only slightly powdery, much less heavy than the No. 5 Eau de Parfum. And I love wearing this on really hot days. I'll often spritz this on in the afternoon or around midday of a hot day, if I've been wearing something else in the morning and I feel like I can't smell it anymore, sometimes I'll just spritz this on just to feel a little bit fresher. I kind of feel like that No. 5 L'eau layers well with most things because it's kind of nondescript in a way. Here is another one that I've talked about a lot. This is Panthea Iris. I have rabbited on about this a lot in the past year. So I'm just going to say it's a beautiful powdery iris scent, and I'm going to leave it there. But clearly, really, really love it. I mean, this bottle is not that old. It's maybe just over a year old. It's maybe 18 months old, and I'm nearly halfway through. I've stopped wearing it so much because I'm actually worried I'm going to use it all up, and I'm not in a position to replace the bottle just yet. So I have to go easy on it. Next up is one that I only got towards the very end of last year. This was a gift from a friend on Instagram who was worried I was going to miss out on it because I was on a no buy, and it's a limited edition. This is Shalimar Millesime Tonka. I actually haven't worn it much in the past couple of months, but that's pretty much what I went through in the first few weeks that I had this bottle. I just wore it so much. It is a really beautiful rendition of Shalimar. Obviously the OG is one that I wear a lot as well, but I did not include that on this list because I definitely wore this one more than the original Eau de Parfum in the past 12 months. So that is Shalimar Millesime Tonka by Guerlain. Next one is one that I don't talk about that much, but which I really enjoy wearing, particularly now that we are in the height of summer here now. This is Clean Musk. It's a base note perfume from perfumer Sarah Horowitz in the US. And I've pretty much put this dent in it in, I would say, the last year. I don't know if it's a 50 ml or if it's a 30 ml. I have a feeling it might be a 30 ml bottle. It's just a really beautiful white musk fragrance. It's very simple, it's very soft. It doesn't have that screechy sharpness that a lot of white musk fragrances have, so it doesn't feel very synthetic. It's actually a really beautiful white musk, and I think I will replace this when I run out. I went through a phase recently where I was enjoying musky scents and I was on the hunt for a new musky, clean musky scent. When I had this plus a couple of others in my wardrobe already that I could have just reached for. But instead I went through this massive exercise of hunting for something new, and I didn't need to. I already had what I needed right under my nose, literally. Speaking of clean musk scents, the next one is Musk Intense by Parfums de Nicolai. This is a really beautiful musk. This is also a 30 ml bottle. It's an aldehydic musk with a decent dose of rose in there, and also something kind of sweet, which I think might be a fruity note, but it doesn't come off as being a fruity fragrance, if that makes sense. But there is definitely a sweetness in here. Anyway, that is Musk Intense. And I have a fly in here, so apologies if it flies through the image, but I live in Queensland, so... Actually, yesterday I got a comment on one of my videos that I had filmed in sort of, I think, early to mid 2021, just after we moved into this house. And this person had noticed that in one of the clips, a massive spider, a huntsman spider, had run up the wall behind me. And I'd never even noticed it, not even during the editing process. It was hilarious. Anyway, it was fine. They don't eat much. Okay, so this one is one that I got for Christmas. This was Matt's Christmas present to me, and I already have a sizable dent in it. This is Fleur de Lalita by Parfums de Cita. Yeah, it's a beautiful, I would describe this as a fresh floral, but it also has an earthiness to it, and there's a slight greenness to it as well, which at one point I thought might have been oak moss because it has this sort of vintage sort of feel to it. But I think it might just be the galbanum that's giving it the greenness. But anyway, it is a really beautiful, in my opinion, fresh floral that's not citrusy. It's a very elegant perfume. But yeah, I've already put a sizable dent in it since Christmas. Next one is another one that I got in 2021. This was sent to me by the perfumer. This is called Lost Wanderer by Millesime Parfums. This is an Australian perfume brand, and it's a really beautiful vanilla tobacco fragrance. It's got lots of spices in there, quite woody as well. It's delicious. It's really, really beautiful, and I particularly love to wear this in the autumn and winter because it's so cozy. As soon as you smell it, well, as soon as I smell it, I get images of wearing big woolly jumpers or sitting on the couch with a nice soft squishy blanket. Next up is another one that I wear a lot in wintertime. This has a wonderful scent memory for me because whenever I think of this, I think of 2020 and when we just got Poppy, our puppy, and you know, I was getting up early and taking her for walks in the morning, and she was wearing her little harness and she was just so cute. I mean, she's still cute. You've seen Poppy, she's beautiful. But it was just a really special time with her as a puppy, and it was particularly nice because even though there was a whole lot of crap that was going on in the world and it was a bit scary, the fact that we were home all the time was just really nice because we had more time with her, although that's biting us in the backside now because now she has separation anxiety and won't let us leave the house without her. But apart from that, so this is Bengale Rouge by Papillon Artisan Parfums. This is a stunning amber fragrance. It is resinous, it's spicy, it's a little bit fluffy, but not too much. It's slightly animalic. It is so cozy and made even more special for me because every time I wear this now, I think of those times when I was walking Poppy early in the morning. It was a slow time for us because of the fact that we were at home all the time and we really had nowhere else to be, or there was nowhere else we could be. So it was beautiful. And so I consider that to be a very special time. I have very fond memories of that, despite the situation we found ourselves in. Anyway, so that is Bengale Rouge by Papillon Parfums. Next up is Champs Lumière by Rogue Perfumery. This is a very green tuberose fragrance. There is a really fluffy vanilla note in here as well. I have a feeling there might be quite a bit of jasmine in here as well, but I could be wrong. But it is a very green, natural smelling tuberose. I really like it. It does smell kind of vintage. Some people don't like it. That's okay. I actually really love a lot of fragrances from Rogue Perfumery, and I think they just suit my style really, really well. So anyway, that is Champs Lumière. I have a few from Maison Christian Dior. The first one is Dioramour. This is a little 40 ml bottle. I love this fragrance. I would wear this so much more, except for the fact that I think it might have been discontinued, or if it hasn't been discontinued, it's harder to get, or the prices have gone up or something or other. I love this fragrance, but it is very pricey, and so I can't really justify paying for the big bottle unless somebody's willing to sell me a second-hand one. But I do adore this. This is Iris. It's very powdery, but then and very light, actually, very airy. It's very cool. I find it to be quite a cool fragrance, which is interesting because some people have said that they find this quite warm. But to me, I find it to be a very cool iris, and I think there might be a bit of jasmine in here as well. Anyway, it's very airy and it's very pretty. The next one is Gris Dior. This gets talked about a lot, and it's also quite a polarizing one. People either really love it or they really hate it. This is a 125 ml bottle. 10 mils of this has been given to somebody in a decant, but otherwise I've worn the rest of it. I really like this. It's a rose patchouli scent. It's very dry. It's very translucent. The rose is not too sweet. There's also oak moss in here, so it's a rose patchouli scent, but it's in a chypre style, and it smells kind of vintage. I think we're seeing a pattern here. I do like the vintagey type ones. Next up is Iris Malikan by Maison Crivelli. This is a 30 ml bottle. This stuff is ridiculously powerful. Ridiculously powerful. In fact, most of the Maison Crivelli fragrances are very, very strong. Hibiscus Mahajad is one that I just talked about in my recent sample snippets video. And that's, if you can believe it, that's even stronger than this one. But these fragrances, I mean, I smell this out of the atomizer and it's so strong I can taste it. It actually does something to my taste buds. It gives me sort of like a metallic sensation on my taste buds when I'm smelling it out of the atomizer. But nevertheless, I love it. It's not your typical iris scent. In fact, it's very confusing. There is iris in there, but it doesn't smell like a normal iris fragrance. To me, it's got quite a fruity vibe, but also quite a leathery, resinous base. So, which is another thing I've noticed with Maison Crivelli fragrances. They all seem to have kind of a leathery aspect to them, which I find quite intriguing because the way they are able to blend this sort of leathery accord in with things like white florals and iris, although iris does go with leather pretty well actually, but this is quite dark and fruity and leathery, and it's just super interesting. Anyway, again, very polarizing fragrance, but I really like it. Next up, I have Delina La Rosée. Probably not a lot needs to be said about this. Again, this was a surprise. I discovered this because this was sent to me in a subscription service. And it was like one of those months where I'd forgotten to log in and pick one. So they just sent out something and they sent me this one. I was like, oh, okay, it's Delina. But turns out, really, really love it. This is kind of what I wanted the original Delina to be. Just a really watery, fresh, translucent rose peony scent with a little bit of fruit in there. Well, quite a bit of fruit actually. Again, I've said this many times, I feel like this doesn't really suit my personality that much, so it's kind of weird. I feel a bit weird when I wear it, but the more I wear it, the more I'm sort of getting to feel the vibe when I'm wearing it rather than feeling awkward. So I really, really like this one. Another from the Delina line is Delina Exclusive. This is one that I feel clashes with my personality even more than the La Rosée. At least the La Rosée, yes, it's playful, but it also has an elegance about it because it is that watery fresh. It's not sort of super sweet and smack you in the face with sweetness and vanilla type of thing. Whereas this one is a bit more like that. Obviously it has the creaminess to it. It has a lot more depth. I think it has oud in it or something, but I can't smell the oud. I feel like this is more resinous actually than the La Rosée. Not so much oudy, but again, this is one that I don't wear this out. This is what I wear this for me, and I wear it for Matt because Matt really likes this one on me as well. But I wear this at home. It's a very bougie bedtime scent for me, and I'm not sorry about it. And you can't really see the level, but it's about the same as the La Rosée. So I'd say maybe a quarter of the way through. Next up, we have Chanel number 22. I wear this very sparingly because obviously it's a very pricey perfume. So a lot of the time when I'm wanting an aldehydic fragrance, I'll wear one of the No.5s or any of the other aldehydic floral fragrances that I have. Fleur de Lalita by Arquiste is absolutely spectacular. Very different to this, but still there is just something special about this one with the aldehydes and the rose. And it smells vintage without, in my opinion, smelling old or dated. I just feel like there is something special about this one. So number 22. And then finally, I have a bottle of Gypsy Water by Byredo. This is gorgeous. I love the piney, spicy, vanillic feel that it has. And I can literally just about bathe in this stuff. And there was a couple of months not too long ago and over Christmas and just before Christmas and just after Christmas, I was basically bathing in this stuff. It was a really great Christmas scent too because of that piney aspect to it. Sort of had a bit of a Christmassy vibe without all of the spice, I guess. So that is Gypsy Water. And then honourable mention is Victoria by Frasai. I say honourable mention because there's not a huge dent in it at this point, but considering I've only had this for about a week and a half, I think I'm doing rather well. It's probably going to be a sizable dent in it in the not too distant future. Anyway, this is a really beautiful woody floral that also has a very prominent lychee note in the top, and there's a green element to this too. So it's a very tart, crisp green, with a floral woody base and a bit of castoreum too that gives it a bit of a leathery feel as well. Really very unique, very beautiful. I've raved on about it for a few weeks now, so I'm not going to say any more. And then finally, because it has been brought to my attention that I don't talk much about the masculine side of my perfume wardrobe very much, because I mostly focus on the ones that I wear, which are primarily unisex anyway. But some people have asked me to occasionally include some stuff from Matt's side of the perfume cabinet. So I have a few here that I can share with you. So I have 4 here that he has made a sizable dent in the, I would say, the last 12 months. The first one is 1899 by Histoire de Parfum, and he's actually almost through the whole bottle. This one is very spicy. It's got a hefty dose of cinnamon in it. I really like it. It's also kind of sweet, sort of spicy amber. It used to get compared a lot to Spice Bomb. I did get a sample of Spice Bomb, and I get the similarity, but I found the Spice Bomb to be, I don't know, a bit more screechy than this. I just felt like this wore a lot better on the skin. I don't know, I feel like this had more depth. So I wouldn't really, I get the similarity, but I wouldn't say it was a substitute. Anyway, so that is 1899 by Histoire de Parfum. Okay, so the next one is Dior Homme Cologne. And this is the one that I think smells like homemade lemonade. It's delicious, and every time he wears it, my mouth waters. He should wear it more, in my opinion. So it's not a huge dent, but the thing is, Matt's very good at wearing samples and decants. So if I throw a bunch of samples and decants on his dresser, he will wear them, even sometimes if he doesn't like them. And then he'll forget to separate the ones that he doesn't like. But so that's why he doesn't necessarily make huge dents in bottles, because he's often working through the actual samples and decants. And I have to remember to grab them before he finishes them so that I can remember what he's worn. He also really likes Veni by Histoire de Parfum. I am not showing that bottle, but I'm pretty sure that's probably, you know, almost as far gone as this one, but it's an opaque bottle, so I can't tell what the level is. Therefore, I can't show you the dent, so I'm not showing it to you. This one is a travel size of Pacific Rock Moss by Goldfield and Banks. It's the older formulation. I've had these travel sizes for quite some time, but Matt is working through them. I did buy him a full bottle late 2021, and so, you know, once these are done, he'll move on to the full bottle. Although I have to confess, I have spritzed from the full bottle a few times myself. And then last but not least, we have a travel decant of Laboratorio Olfativo Nerotic, and that's the dent. Basically, it's an 8 ml. It's an 8 ml travel size. This is a really terrific scent, actually. It's sort of woody and smoky, and there's a bit of sweetness in there as well. It's just, there is something about this fragrance. I think I'm going to get Matt a full bottle of this when he's finished with this, because it's very sexy. And I don't normally describe fragrances as sexy, but this one is sexy. And that is it. We are at the end. I have to go because my friend Maria is messaging me saying we've got to go for a walk, although it's boiling hot outside, so I'm probably going to suggest we wait a little bit longer. But if you enjoyed this video, please do give this a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. And let me know which fragrances you've made a sizable dent in the past year or so. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.